Hey, Kurt here. So everyone knows what a scene is, right? It's where a thing that's important to the story or the main character happens. In a perfect world, scenes, like films themselves, have a beginning, middle, and end. Scenes do important work, but what do we really know about them? And do we even need scenes? What purpose do they serve? One of the first things I ask people when they call about having me edit their film, hey, Banjo, Banjo, come on. Hey, Banjo, come on. Hey, Kurt, come on. Come on, Banjo, 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 Jesus. Banjo, come on. Come on. Calm down. Calm down. How about if I bribe you with some food? All right, here. Here you go. I got a little food. All right, here you go. Okay, come on. Come on. Let me do my video, all right? Good girl. Good girl. All right. One of the first things I ask people when they call me about having me edit their film is, do you have any scenes? And usually they do. Sometimes they don't. And once in a while they ask, hey, documentary mechanic, what is your definition of a scene? That may seem like a silly question because we all know what a scene is, right? But then I thought about it. Do I really know what a scene is? As with most things in documentaries, there's quite a bit of confusion about these scene things. That's because docs, if are scenes, really aren't. Banjo, come on. I gave you a snack. Cut me a slack, huh? Cut me some slack, Banjo. Come on. Come on. So anything can be a scene, and a lot of things that you think are scenes really aren't. Here's a question that you end up asking yourself a lot as a doc filmmaker. This bunch of media, is it a scene? And if it isn't, what is it? And more important, do we need it? And if we do need it, how do we make it better? It's been my experience that a scene should do three things for it to be effective. It should inform, entertain, and transition. It can still be valuable if it does only two, and maybe, if really needed, it could do just one thing. But if you have too many scenes that do only one thing strung together, then your film starts losing focus and can become pretty boring. That's kind of what separates a good rough cut from a finished film. A doc with a bunch of scenes that are doing two or three of these things moves well and gives the audience the information it needs without bogging them down in useless details. So, what is a scene? Earlier I said that a good scene should have a beginning, middle, and end. Doesn't have to, but it's nice because those things help us understand why we're here in this scene, the beginning, what's going on in this scene, the middle, and what we're taking away from the scene that helps propel us to the next scene, the end. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of scene construction. Now, can an interview be a scene? Can archival by itself be a scene? The answer, as with most things in docs, is a resounding maybe. Depends on how they're used. If somebody tells me they've interviewed the top 50 experts in the field of whatever the film's about, that doesn't mean they have 50 scenes or actually any scenes. Normally, interviews by themselves don't make a scene. Even Fog of War, which was a whole movie based around one interview, had a ton of archival because, unfortunately for a lot of filmmakers, interviews by themselves don't make a film. And what's a movie that's all interviews? That's a moving textbook. And that's what I try to avoid. I'm not about lecturing or beating information into people. One, it doesn't work, and two, it's boring to edit. Docs don't have to tell a story. They can be informational, but they don't have to be boring. For example, instead of giving us one interview after another, give us just a couple that really matter. Do we really need 7 Harvard experts in one film? Only if you're making a Harvard fundraising video or maybe an anti-Yale video. Either way, probably too much Harvard. Think about the docs you liked. What do you remember about them? A bit of information, a gripping image, a tense conversation? Those bits don't happen by accident. That bit of information was wrapped up in the middle of a long soundbite and was illustrated by amazing archival that matched the point being made. Do you remember all the other stuff? No, but it doesn't matter. The important bit stuck with you. A scene is a bit of the film that is a self-contained whole that helps the film get its point across. It can be an interview or archival or verite or all of it smashed together. It doesn't really matter. It just has to work. Now, this is a very, very rough analogy, but think of a film as a novel. Each novel is made up of chapters. Depending on the style, there can be anywhere from 20 to 60 chapters. There can be more or less if the book is avant-garde, but let's just say 20 to 60. Now, think about each chapter as a scene. If a doc is about 100 minutes and each scene is 2 minutes, that's 50 scenes. Hey, the math works. Obviously, each scene isn't going to be exactly 2 minutes long. That's not the point. It's that a scene does a thing. It makes a point. How you make that point is determined by what footage you have, what footage you can make, and any VO or text on screen you need to set up that point. A scene is successful when it does what it needs to do. But what exactly is that? Every film's needs are different, and even within a film, there's ebbs and flows. Maybe in the beginning, you're looking for more entertaining scenes to lure the audience in, and in the middle, things can be more informational. Or if your film is all information, then you need to differentiate one type of information from another, or it begins to blur together. How do you do that? Instead of doing formal sit-down interviews that look good, but kind of look like every other sit-down interview in every other movie, let us see the interviewee in action and talk to them while they're doing something. I mean, I get it. You're trying to get the most information in the best setting in the shortest time frame. And formal sit-down interviews have their place. I've done enough of them. But think if there's an alternative. Just think about it. Plenty of docs are made up of strung-together expert sound bites. Think of nearly every health or food doc. But why are we talking to these people? In a lot of situations, this doesn't matter. You need an expert to bolster your theory or explain this important thing. And the backstory of the expert is both irrelevant and a distraction. But let's keep an open mind. Why are they an expert? How did they get this way? Could the expert be more than just a soundbite? Could they be a more important part of the film? Just think about it. And if you just want a whole flock of experts saying experty things all in a row, is that a scene? Or is it an info dump? Can an info dump be a scene? Well, if you call it a scene, then it is one. But then the question becomes, is it a good scene? How many experts can you have in a row before it implodes into an informational sinkhole? A lot of doc makers like experts, as it makes what they're saying seem more important, that you need to take the film and its message seriously because surely all these highly credentialed people can't be wrong. Look, I love experts. Some of my best friends are experts. But if your film has more than a football team's worth of them, then maybe you need to rethink things. Just saying. So if you got great sound bites, is there an archival scene that kind of fits in what they're saying? Is there relevant B-roll that can go over them? Not something generic, but something specific. Again, think about that fog of war example. Or maybe you've got some archival and an interview. Can you smash them together? Archival is amazing. There's docs made up only of archival footage with no original shoot footage. Think Atomic Cafe or Senna. They had scenes created out of archival using sound bites and text on screen to give us the information we need. When was the atom bomb dropped? What race was the one where he crashed? We find out all these questions and more from the archival. We use archival to tell the story. Archival does not need to be consigned to just the beginning of the film to set things up or used as B-roll over an interview. Think about how it can be used as standalone footage. If it can't do that, what kind of help does it need in order to do that? That one soundbite from that one guy to help set it up. A lower third that IDs what's going on? Figure it out. Because a great archival scene makes everything better. And now we get to verite footage. Obviously, verite scenes are a bit easier to understand in the context of what we think of as a traditional scene. There's things happening, and hopefully you get enough of it so it makes sense. Presto, you have a scene. But does that mean that anything you shoot is a scene? No, of course not. Don't be silly. Rarely do you get everything you need when you just turn on the camera and shoot. Are there establishing shots? Do we know who these people are? Do we know why this is important? Answering these questions helps solidify scenes, giving them context and making them a vital part of the film. And then there's animation and motion graphics, which help out other pieces of the scene puzzle. They can fill in facts, they can cover up holes in plot or holes in explanation, or they can illustrate points that experts make, which are maybe a little hard to understand. But done right, animation and graphics can also stand on their own as scenes. Animation in docs is a whole nother video, but I'll just leave it as it's kind of like creating your own archival, fun and helps fill in the blanks. And we made our way to transitions. A scene, even though it tells a small story, also needs to get you to the next thing. There needs to be the right kind of footage at the end that propels you out of what you've just seen. Is there a great look from someone? A snappy soundbite? A clever use of music? Any of these can work, but ending a scene is actually more important than how you start it, because it's what makes the last and most forceful impression on people. You can actually have not that great a beginning if you have a powerful end to a scene. So don't be limited by your footage. Scenes can be anything and everything. You just have to figure out what you need them to be, and then put them together like some crazy Lego monster, but with scenes instead of little blocks that hurt when you step on them. So, a good scene seems simple. Something happens, we learn something, and hopefully it's entertaining. But a good scene isn't really simple. It's a complex orchestration of numerous elements all coming together to create a delivery system designed to dig into your skull and implant exactly things that needs to be there. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family. Or don't. I'm good either way. But until next time, happy documenting. Are you done? Are you gonna let me do? Are you gonna let me? Are you gonna? Are you gonna let me do my? Are you gonna let me do my video?